of 24 who, in order to prevent the horror he saw behind the veils from coming too close, sealed off the entrances to his senses, for it was through these gaps that the monstrosities of life would seep in, slowly at first, but then faster, faster, faster. For his mouth he plugged his lips with his favorite brand of cigars, for his eyes thick sunglasses overtop his glasses, for his ears the perpetual music of headphones. The unsightly young man, still dependent on his parents, had enrolled in some nebulous course of study at a university that could be reached by train in 2 hours. He boarded his usual train one non-specific Sunday afternoon. Slowly, given his encumberment, the man made his way to the back of the train. The route was typical for Switzerland: some trees, more mountains, even more empty skies, and a tunnel. There was a tunnel en route. The back of the train was where he preferred it, as it was usually empty, or at least scantily populated. Alas, today he would have to share the air. Directly opposite him, sealed off from the world by his own concentration, sat a man who was even fatter than he, playing chess by himself. And in the corner of the very same bench, near the aisle, sat an uncertainly young girl who was reading a novel, neither mindlessly nor with such great extent of masterful focus to imply exceptional intellect. Despite the many times he had promised himself that he would observe the tunnel, when the tunnel eventually came and then went, he always realized after the fact. That's how short the tunnel was. You would realize that it existed after it was long gone. It was no different now. Once again, he had not taken off his sunglasses when they entered, since he wasn't thinking of the tunnel. Just a moment before, the sun had been shining with full intensity, and the landscapes through which they were traveling had looked like gold. So brightly had everything shone in the evening light, so brightly now he had become conscious of the abrupt change to darkness. The woman, now no longer able to read her book, resorted to a stowed cigarette. The fatter man maintained his chess match unmoved, and the man pondered the uncertainty of truth. But not well enough to be profound. He was not the intellectual he thought himself as. Moving his cigar to speak more clearly, he asked the fatter man if this was the correct train to Zurich. "Yes, it is, if you don't mind leaving me be." The young man replied that he had no idea there was such a sizable tunnel on this route, but the chess player retorted, somewhat angrily, since this was the second time he had been interrupted in the middle of a difficult calculation, that there were a lot of tunnels in Switzerland, a very large number of them indeed, and even though this was his first visit to the country, it was something he noticed right away, and besides, he had read in a statistical yearbook that there were more tunnels in Switzerland than in any other country. "I am awfully sorry, but I must give all my attention to an important problem in the Zinovich defense, and therefore must be asked to left undisturbed." The man, still perturbed by the peculiar machinations of this tunnel that shouldn't be here, but obviously was, stewed in his confusion. Much to his joy, the conductor came into the compartment he was currently sitting within. The young man arose to confront the conductor about this predicament. "Is this the right train? I'm supposed to be going to Zurich," the man said. "You're in the right train, sir," the conductor replied confidently. "But we're driving through a tunnel," the young man exclaimed with annoyance, and quite forcefully, for now he was determined to clear up this bewildering situation. "We've just passed Bern and we're headed towards Legenthal," the conductor said confidently. "But we've been driving through a tunnel for the past 20 minutes, the young man insisted. The conductor seemed to not understand. "This is the train to Zurich," he said, glancing at the window himself now. "Nonsense!" The remark came from the man occupied with the problem of the Zinovich defense, who was annoyed. "Nonsense! We are driving through a tunnel. You can see the rock through it. Looks like granite. There are more tunnels in Switzerland than anywhere in the world. I read it in a statistical yearbook." Dissatisfied, the man demanded to be taken to the front of the train to sort this conundrum out, with the engineer if need be. Knowing there was no way he could ignore this injunction, the conductor permitted the man to follow him to the front of the train. The train was severely more uneasy than it had been prior, despite the fact that all of the passengers were acting as if nothing had ever happened, ignoring the tunnel completely. The man hypothesized that maybe there had been fewer people before. The man therefore asked the conductor if he thought any of the passengers had gotten off the train at a stop the man hadn't noticed. "No, there aren't any less people on the train." "Fewer people," the man pretentiously replied as they neared their target. Growing fed up with this inconvenience, the conductor said to the man, "Look, sir, there is not much I can tell you. I don't know how we got into this tunnel. I have no explanation for it. But I ask you to consider that we are moving on tracks. The tunnel must therefore lead somewhere. There is no evidence of anything being wrong with the tunnel, except of course that it doesn't end." "In that case, I must ask you to stop the train," the young man stated. "Should I pull the emergency brake?" The young man was about to shout an emphatic yes, but the whole train lurched. The two men were thrown off balance. The train was now going downhill, but the anticipated crash never arrived. "Let's go into the engine room," the conductor said, falling behind the young man. The engine room was utterly desolate. All of the gauges were surging past their limits. The thunder of the plummeting train pounded the two men's hearts. "Where is the engineer?" the young man bellowed. "He jumped," the conductor tepidly replied. "What?" The young man's outrage was like an avalanche charging down the slopes of the Alps. The conductor's own fear overcame him. "He jumped when this all began." Terror was the conductor's voice. "Fully. He jumped into the tunnel, into the abyss," the conductor said, falling into a pitiful ball. "Why didn't you jump too?" the young man asked. "I'm the chief conductor," the conductor replied. "Besides, I have always lived without hope." "Without hope," repeated the young man, who now pulled the conductor onto his feet. The conductor vowed to find some solution to this problem, but when he tried to open the door, it remained locked. He struggled against it fiercely, but nonetheless it was unable to budge. "What should we do? What should we do?" he yelled back to the young man, who simply ignored him, removing his headphones and undoing his jacket. "What should we do? What should we do?" the conductor repeated endlessly, but the young man just stood there. "What should we do? What should we do?" he replied with spectral serenity.
Lost your senses.